Sometimes you encounter choices that are unavailable to you. These may have been influenced by prior decisions. Okay. I feel like he wouldn't be able to have that ringtone given the universe we're currently in. Unless DDLC also exists in the universe. And then there is like the perfect people to make like that club in like the school. That would be kind of terrifying. But oh god, I could. Oh my god. Oh, I. I. I don't know what I wanted. I wanted to write 2020. I thought there was like a Roblox game. Yes, I have some experience with Roblox. And I thought it was like a Roblox game where there was like a scary map. And like there was this scary map and I remember watching YouTubers play it. And like it was getting updated throughout it. I like kept remembering it was getting updated throughout. And then tonight I realized all of my memories of that Roblox game, all of the videos I quote unquote watched were dreams. Because I woke up from a nap and I had dreamed I had already woken up from that nap and already watched like I rewatched the video, but for some reason one thing has changed and I was very confused. And then I woke up and then I like kind of did my research and none of the videos existed. I had dreamed about this whole game and like all of the updates and all of the videos I've watched. I have that shocked me because I was wholeheartedly convinced it existed and had like all these memories of like watching like my childhood YouTubers that I used to like when I was like younger. I had like all these memories of them watching it and it never existed. That like I I was flabbergasted. I couldn't believe it. Like nothing about it was real. I even remembered playing it. But no, it doesn't exist. None of the videos I watched about it existed. There was nothing about it anywhere. It's like something that existed in the past either. It it never existed. I just had this whole Roblox game that I thought was kind of fun because it was kind of like an ARG. And I kind of like doing these sometimes. And it was kind of fun. It was like getting regularly updated and I don't know, maybe it was the pandemic or something, but something happened to me there. I I I woke up from that nap and was like, what the fuck just happened? Where am I? And it's not that surprising because like I mean, I have dreamt before for like whole days or like I remember that one time I had like my whole morning routine and then I started going to school and then I woke up and I had to do it all again, but it was just like my morning routine. Nothing felt off about it. So it's not completely surprising. It's just like I had like these fond memories of it and then I woke up and I realized none of these memories were like actual memories of something that really like happened. It was all just things I dreamed about. I don't know, that just remembered me of it. Eyes so close, I felt around for my nightstand with my hand until a stray finger happened to land on my phone's stop button. Come on, Max. Up and at them. It'd be easy to just close my eyes again and sleep the day away. Most kids have adult figures in their lives who would give them an earful of even entertaining the idea, whether it's parents, relatives, teachers, family, friends. If I wanted to, I could just waste away on this bed. Sounds like a nice, peaceful way to go. I should finish Beneath the Crimson Moon first, though. Fine. I hold off on dying for now. Ah, what the fuck? I went to bed in my uniform. Everything that happened yesterday must have thrown me off so hard. I mentally slapped myself. No more. From now on, you're going to keep up appearances, Max. And if you don't, I'm going to kick your ass until you do. Whatever is wrong with me this morning, I'm sure I can scrub it out in the shower. I carefully fold my outfit and place it at the edge of the tub, knowing I'm just going to be putting it back on once I'm out of the shower. One of my budgies just made an interesting noise. Because they're already fighting for the swing. Interesting. I think I read it fully. If not, I'm pretty sure there was enough time to read it. Oof. Okay, yeah. Nothing like a hot shower to take off those morning blues. I think that really depends. Let's see. Today's Tuesday, which means my classes are home economics, mathematics, statistics, and art. Statistics, I never had. Like, statistics just seemed like a part of, like, mathematics and economics and stuff like that. I'm actually quite looking forward to home ec. Obviously, I don't often get the opportunity to cook or bake for myself, but whenever I've tried, I've been a natural at it. I wonder what kind of stuff they'll have us make. I want cupcakes. Of course, after home ec room comes calculus, which is considerably less fun. But then comes lunchtime, or in my case, reading time. Beneath the Crimson Moon is taking its time with the pacing of its mystery, which I appreciate greatly. Too often modern horror writers are tempted to blow their load too early and have the monsters show up and start killing fuckers in the first chapter. The last horror book I read was like... It already had like... dead animals at the beginning. Not to say this didn't happen in all the works either, but that seems to be a disappointing trend in modern media in general. And it's not like I can blame writers for it either, when there are literal millions of pieces of media anyone could consume at any point. Authors will do whatever it takes to try and hook the reader to get them to read all the way through. You can kind of try doing it differently. Like, but the way I start, it really depends on what kind of book I'm writing, but sometimes I start pretty normal actually, because the point is that, like, it's not just like, I know some people are like, don't just start it with the normal day and then have the weird stuff happen. It starts off normal, but something happens already on that day. I usually don't just have a day happen. Unless something's already there to set up future events. I don't know. I don't think I really... When I write something that is intended to be shocking, I tend to start a little bit later, depending on the book. There's one story where I start fairly early on because it gets, like... It's part of, like... the plot that the situation keeps getting worse and worse and worse, so it has to start at some point with something that already has to get worse and worse. And for a normal human human being, that could be something shocking anyway. I say like I've witnessed that, but for the book I'm currently mentioning that I'm currently writing on, actually is like, no, that's not just, that's not something I experienced and I never hope to experience. Just like a normal human being put in a very intense situation. Let's put it like that. You do kind of need to start up with something interesting after all. You like, unless you're writing like a slice of life manga or something like that. It is important to have something that has like, gives like some sense of intrigue. So even when I start off with something simple, I usually do already start up with something that's intended to already give a taste of what the book is going to be about. Unless it's intended to be like this worse and worse and worse thing. There I don't really have it. Something does happen in the first chapter that has like fantastical elements. It's kind of like an isekai. But the real meat of the story comes like later on. Chapter 7. It might seem late, but the story is very long. I don't know if it actually seems that late. I sometimes think about it because sometimes it's like, it is fairly late, which could be considered late here, but only if you don't consider the length of the book, because I tend to write very long chapters as well. It's really just, there are sometimes stories with shorter chapters that I write, but sometimes it's just I need to put a bit more into this chapter than just this beat. Because then, like, I have to write so many chapters that it feels sometimes a bit, like, useless. And for one book, I even try to, like, give, like, names to the chapters. I hate giving names, so I usually don't do it, but, like, I wanted to kind of try it for once. But the thing is, I don't agree with the notion that something shocking or dramatic needs to happen in order to hook readers. It doesn't. Attention gained in this fashion is very surface level and won't attract the kind of people who are given to being invested in a story. And it's the people who allow themselves to be absorbed into the world of a story, the people who soak in the world building and the characters and the relationships. Those are the people who are going to read it all the way through, and the people who will buy the next book in the series and analyze it. Like, it's usually those invested that are also those who like analyze it, including also sometimes the negative portions. I hope you can't hear it, but I'm pretty sure my budgies are fighting over the swing. The story shouldn't be fighting with the reader, trying to wrestle their attention away from the literally anything else. The readers who matter are the ones who will give you the time to cook, the ones who don't find character introductions and relationship dynamics boring. You do need kind of a little bit something happening, but yeah, you don't need to like have anything extremely wild happen at the beginning to hook someone in. But you still need to kind of make like a hook. Like they said, like introducing dynamics and characters to kind of give an interest. And those are my shower thoughts of the day. For the day. Damn you, long hair. Get dry already. That's why I don't have long hair. Although I actually think I have like around the same length as he does. Kosei is suffering probably with his long hair. Once my face and hair are in a state of presentable wretchedness, I don the uniform once again. Should I take one more look at myself? I don't know what this what this decision could lead to. I'll check the mirror. My hair is a little shorter than his. I'll just save the what I had there. Should I smile? For some reason I want to press surprise. I don't know, but it's luring me in. Okay. Oh. We can just do expressions here, it seems. Oh, angry frown. Either he can cry on command, or he is currently not doing well. I'm sure I look like $1,000,000 right now. I stop at the kitchen, leaning onto the countertop and tapping away on my phone. What? Jeez! I wonder if I'll ever get used to people actually texting me. Kazori! Oh god, I don't want to say anything wrong there. Yeah. Please. It means good morning. Good morning to you too then, Kazori. You are well on your way to becoming a polyglot, dear Max. I think I wanted to make her voice. By the way, I checked the attendance sheet online. Looks like we share calculus on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's wonderful. I hope we were assigned adjacent seats. We're already becoming friends. I wouldn't count on that. All the seats surrounding me are taken. Unfortunate. Kazora's really nice. I'm sure she appreciates meeting someone who... Oh. I'm sure she appreciates meeting someone who treats her like just another human being. Maybe I should put in a little bit of effort for her. I checked the time on my phone. It's only 6:30. Homework is at 7:30 and the walk to school is about 30 minutes. Which means I have about 20 minutes to kill. I should... Honestly, maybe we should get an early start. At first I was like, why shouldn't we know which TV, but maybe we can like meet someone. I'd rather be off to school as soon as possible. After slipping on my shoes, I subject myself to the airport full body pat-down treatment to make sure I didn't forget anything. I can't imagine any planes have been taking off lately, at least in the city. Once more into the breach. I need to get... It's even more foggy than before. House is all locked up. Hopefully Mom didn't lose her keys somewhere. The sky falls as tears upon the... The sky falls as tears upon the surface of my umbrella. The bereft heavens grieve, pooling around my shoes and disappearing into the sidewalk sewer grates. What has happened to cause such sorrow in the world so out of reach? The death of a beloved god? Pity for the plight of us mortals? Perhaps the ennui of eternity itself? Of course, no conclusive answers are offered. The men of science are baffled, and the men of God continue the same doomsaying they've spouted for thousands of years. If I were to venture a guess, The rain is a heavy-handed symbolic representation of existential anguish, a reflection of our generation's nihilistic disillusionment with modern society. Manifesting as cold, merciless rain, regarding not as to who is deserving and who's not, the only distinguishing factor being who has an umbrella and who doesn't. The haves and have-nots. A pitiless, dismal emptiness that soaks to the bone and lingers in the minds of even those sheltered few. But that would be an incredibly shitty metaphor, lacking any sort of subtlety or nuance. I wouldn't read this book if there was a gun to my head. Well, sometimes things can just be straight up said. I do feel like if there was like someone saying it simply like that, it's perfectly fine to do that every now and then. For me, it's kind of dependent on specific things, whether or not I make something more obvious or something more subtle. Real life is an awful story. I hate it. Oh. It's that pink-haired girl again. Stay the fuck out of my way. And I tend to do just that. I'm sure we'd both be happy if we never had to see each other again. But I guess this is going to be a thing every morning now. This awkward dance of avoidance. Once again, the shifting soup of human activity converges. The voices around me coalescing into occasional steam of coherent thought, like so many alphabet noodles. Karasaki's new series is really fascinating. It's about this guy who finds this book that tells the future, which at first is great, of course, but his life slowly starts getting flipped upside down as... Dude, did you hear about that crazy girl on the rooftop? Spent the whole day just soaking up the rain. Didn't even show up to class. So weird. Kinda pisses me off that the school's gathering a reputation as a refugee for freaks. I've been here for 2.5 years, and the only reason we been seeing all these. You see that new freshman kid? He's pretty cute, at least until he opens his mouth. Sometimes I enjoy listening to their voices. Tiny glimpses of life as seen from the eyes of others, painted uniquely by their own thoughts, feelings, and experiences. But sometimes the colors they paint are ever so dark and dreary. Words of judgment, penned by unforgiving hands, venomous ink seeping, blackening all it touches. What I'm trying to say is, gossip sucks. But that's a convenient sentiment for me, who exists on the fringes. Were a part of the popular circles and all their spiteful games, I cannot say I'd be above rumor-mongering myself. Well, I've seen popular people in school who were above it. I closed my umbrella, this time making sure to do so over the asphalt outside before placing it with the others. I open my locker and switch out my shoes. Still nothing in the way of pranks. Good. After that entire debacle yesterday with my introduction, I had given up hope on silently and invisibly fading into the background where none could reach me. But perhaps the kids at the school are less judgmental than I assumed, ironically making me the judgmental one. Well, we basically judge all the time. In everything we do, we kind of have to make a judgment. Like, even with things where it's like, we say we don't judge specific things, that simply means you don't judge it like poorly most of the time. Most likely you still have some type of judgment. Like, even when you like walk past a group of people and say, I don't really think much about them, then you're probably focusing on something else to begin with. Or just completely spacing out. I like to do that too. But most of the time when you like really pay attention to something, it's difficult to really say you have absolutely no opinion on it on first glance. You maybe can say, don't assume anything about it, but there's a part of you that still makes positive, negative, fairly neutral judgments. You can have like neutral judgment. "10 minutes till the start of home ec. Wonder if they provide aprons." My path merges with that of the other students on their way to their home economics classroom, and then I notice I am literally the only guy in this entire class. Jeez. I knew the stigma exists, but is it really this strong? Why shouldn't guys learn to cook and clean and pay bills? Isn't self-reliance a masculine virtue? Some people don't think that way. Anyway, I'm glad after the last time I read something about guys needing to be the ones in the lead. Whatever. If I were to argue this case in front of an actual person, they'd just make fun of me. I've noticed that too, that sometimes it's like things online where it's like you can have factual debates, but if you try to do it with an actual person, you are the one who sounds stupid, even though on like other occasions you genuinely have a good point. The home economics classroom is about what I expected. Rather than desks and seats, there are instead long counters with built-in sinks, stoves, and ovens. I would hope there are still like a few, like, maybe not seats, but some type of something to sit down on, because otherwise my foot will scream. At the outer wall of the classroom is a long sink spanning almost its entire length, with counters on both sides bearing dish and utensil racks. Several fridges are situated at various points in the classroom, and there's even a cold storage closet in the corner. Every counter is well stocked with various cooking and baking implements, from cast iron pans, woks, and Pyrex measuring cups to blenders, stand mixers, and waffle irons. Unlike most classes, this one has several dedicated instructors, largely due to the volume and varying complexity of the students' different projects. The rest of the class instantly spreads out, either to the fridges or to the counters to prepare their respective appliances, and once again, I am left to fend for myself. Timidly, I approach one of the instructors, hands clutched tightly behind my back. I inhale, hopefully ingesting some courage in the process, and speak. Excuse me. What is it I should be doing right now? The instructor whips her head towards my direction, her sharp, narrow eyes causing me to involuntarily shrink back on the spot. Are you on the cooking track or the baking track? The what? Cooking or baking? Which did you choose on the form we distributed on the first week? This is my first day in this class. For the love of... The instructor's exasperation with my cluelessness is painfully obvious. I'm so sorry. I'll just... There. Pair up with her. Perhaps your ineptitude may serve as a challenge for her. She points towards a petite girl with eye-catching pink hair. Wait a second. I know her. This all must be some kind of cosmic joke. And it's at the expense of both me and the pink-haired girl. Sorry, candy-colored stranger. I promise from now on I'll be out of your hair after class is done with. But thank you, ma'am. The words get caught in my throat. I decide to cut my losses and disengage. Natsuki? After psyching myself up, I quietly advance towards the candy-colored menace, nervously gripping the tie of my uniform. The pin-sized pest seems to still be undecided on what to do next. She leaves through the pages of a recipe book, her frustrated gaze making apparent her indecision. I just stand in place, waiting for my admittedly meager presence to be noticed. Finally, she turns around. Jesus fuck! The expletive is blurted forth as naturally as it was during our first encounter. Yeah, makes not much sense for Natsuki. We're not on Act 2 right now. Sorry, I just had to point it out. I hate when people are like, I could get it when it was like a meme mod or something like that. But if you actually want to say that Natsuki cusses a lot, she really, really doesn't. Luckily, the sounds of running water, frying pans, and microwaves managed to mostly mask her voice. Who the hell are you? And why the hell are you sneaking up on me? I am barely able to string two words together in face of her outburst. She seems ready to club me with a rolling pin, but instead... Hold on a sec. You're that stammering flies that tried to chat me up on the way to school yesterday. Unable to form sentences, I resort instead to nodding my head frantically, my frowning lips stiff as stale bread. The pink-haired girl crosses her arms and huffs like a furious bull. Well, I ain't apologizing for shit. It's what I do to deserve getting settled with you, huh? The instructor said I should pair up with you. Oh. She looks disappointed? Is that not the answer you were expecting? Well, yeah, I thought it'd be something along the lines of, wow, she looks like one badass baker, bitch. I better stick with her. Natsuki doesn't cuss a lot. But it seems my instructors at least recognize my abilities, so I'll take that as a half win. Only a half win? They're the ones you should be trying to impress. Anyway, it's actually useful that you happened along. I'm suffering from a bit of a choice paralysis here. Here! She practically flings the hefty book into my arms. I'd be lying if I said it didn't knock the wind out of me a little. Pick something in that book. Doesn't matter what, as long as it's a baked pastry. I examined the book cover. It's entitled The Globetrotting Confectioner. It claims to have recipes from all over the world. Upon flipping through the pages, however, it becomes clear it's mostly Japanese and Western European pastries. There's still a fantastic variety nonetheless. I want to make... We wanted cupcakes this morning! And honestly, I feel like Natsuki might like it too. I was craving cupcakes this morning, after all. Can we try the chocolate cupcakes? Hell yeah, we can! I'm an absolute pro when it comes to cupcakes. Watch and learn, kiddo! After preheating the oven to 350 degrees and melting the butter and oil, the pink-haired girl gets to work sifting together the flour, baking soda, salt, and cocoa powder. Yo, I'm gonna beat together the butter mixture with the dry stuff. Can you cook an egg in there while I do that? She uses a hand mixer to beat the ingredients together in a stainless steel bowl. As she does so, she watches me closely as I handle the egg. Delicately, I tap the eggshell against the edge of the bowl, forming a barely perceptible crack. Before using my fingers to spread the newly bisected egg, releasing the yolk into the newly forming batter without any shell. The girl looks away, trying to hide her expression of surprise. Did not expect he would be interested in cracking eggs gently. I suck at cracking eggs. She continues beating the mixture while I pour in the buttermilk and vanilla extract. Once the batter resembles a smooth dark brown ooze, the pink-haired girl takes a rubber spatula and uses it to scrape the batter into each of the dozen liners in the cupcake pan. All that's left to do is stick the pan into the oven. She breathes a satisfied exhale as the preheated oven gets to work baking her concoction. This is gonna be damn good. I'm left awkwardly stand, wondering what to do next. Right, it's time to clean up. Since us bakers have the most idle time, it falls to us to clean up after everyone else. Come on. The long dish disposal sink located at the outer end of the classroom is piled with high pots, pans, utensils, and cooking sheets, with more flowing in at a steady rate. The pink-haired girl and I get to work as opposite ends of the sink, scrubbing burnt remnants, oily residue, and other such unappetizing detritus from the filthy steelwork. As I'm putting my entire, admittedly not very impressive, upper body strength into scraping away at the remains of a failed frying job on a cast iron pan. It becomes increasingly apparent that she's a lot faster at this than I am. It's still at my end of the sink, while the girl slowly inches her way closer to me, seemingly aware of her position as she rapidly runs out of work on her own side. It's only when we inevitably touch shoulders that I stay on your side, blockhead! She stares at my distressed expression of disbelief for a second before she quickly assesses her surroundings, a blush forming on her face as she realizes her error. But she quickly bounces back. Christ, how slow are you? It'd be just the same to me if you weren't here at all. Sit down at my gloved hands and the pan and sponge they're holding, unable to stomach her disapproving scowl. She sighs frustratedly and continues. Lots of sighs. The more dishes are starting to come in at that end. I do as the girl commands, giving her a wide berth as I trade places with her to the other side of the sink. We continue cleaning without further incident until we hear beeping sounds coming from the oven containing her creation. The air smells thickly of chocolate as we approach the oven, tempting us even closer with the promise of lovely sweet sugar. Such aroma only grows stronger after the pink-haired girl swings the open door oven, blasting our faces with a rush of heat and mouth-watering sweetness. Yeah, I feel like you should take off your glasses in that moment. It could be a bit bothersome. As someone who wears glasses, yeah, it can become a bit troublesome to like still be wearing them, and then your glasses are all. Well, hello there, my lovelies. She breathes in deeply, using her hand to coax the aroma into her nostrils like chefs always do in TV shows. I never thought this was how today would start. Babe King cupcakes with the girl who told me to fuck off. But in here, she seems to be in her element. Perhaps the snapping at me back then simply stemmed from fear of unfamiliarity, a stranger approaching her in the cold rain. As opposed to here, where she's allowed to express herself and the fruits of her own labor. In fact, during the course of our baking, she didn't get pissed off once. She even seemed impressed with me on a couple occasions. Who am I kidding? First impressions last forever, and I blew mine. The only reason she hasn't throttled me yet is because we're in class. First impressions I wouldn't say last forever. I promise after this I'll get the necessary papers and or whatever so I can work on my own. You'll never have to deal with me again. Yo! Let's get these bitches all frosted up! She slips on a pair of mittens and extricates the pan from the oven as I close it behind her. Thankfully, the pantry came stocked with pre-made buttermilk cake frosting. The pink-haired girl and I each scrape a can of it into our respective piping bags. We each pipe the frosting into separate cupcakes, though hers are obviously more elegant, resembling a lovely upside-down tornado, while mine looks more like they were hit by a tornado. With each cupcake thusly frosted upon, the girl takes a bag of multicolored sprinkles and dusts with them each on the white frosting piles until a cupcake! Not only does it smell great, it's also cute as hell. Chocolate cake with buttermilk frosting is a tried and true combo, and the sprinkles add that extra flair for presentation. Oh, you can change the name anytime there. Oh, sorry, I was lost in thought for a moment. I was thinking about something. It's picture perfect, like it came straight out of the cookbook's photos. Hell, even better than that. With how gorgeous the cupcakes look, it seems almost a shame to— Yo! You gonna keep eye-fucking the cupcake, or are you gonna eat one? The pink-haired girl's colorful imagery snaps me out of my brain tangent, and I notice she's already halfway through her own cupcake. I didn't even pay attention to her reaction. She takes another bite of her cupcake, staring me down with a furrowed brow. I come to the somewhat bold conclusion that she's given me permission to try a cupcake myself. I notice her eyeing me up as I gingerly take one of the cakes into both hands. Is she trying to study my reaction? I bite into it. As expected, the chocolate cake is soft and full of sweet flavor, and the creamy buttermilk frosting perfectly complements the base and enhances the texture. The sprinkles even lend their own contribution to the texture, adding tiny little crunches that give the otherwise smooth softness a more varied mouthfeel. Ha! You know, if you want to keep up this gloomy emo persona, you'll have to work on your poker face. It's amazing. Don't assume that it's an emo persona. I feel like he's going through a lot. Sleeping in your clothes, struggling to get up in the morning, you know. Could just be a bad day, but if this is a common thing, then perhaps there's something really going on there. My eyes are damn near tearing up from the flavor. Maybe he's not had something that's good in a while. Well, yeah, I am the best after all. The two of us enjoy the rest of our cupcake in silence. Before long, one of the instructors passes by and retrieves a cupcake for herself. The pink-haired girl wears an expression of anticipation, notably lacking any sort of trepidation. Her confidence is proven to be well-founded. Excellent work as usual. Though the frosting hides it, I could nonetheless tell the surface was cracked due to uneven baking, but I'm sure we can chalk that up to outside interference. The instructor glances in my direction as she says this. I look away to the floor, hiding my face in shame. I'm sorry. I don't care to make excuses, ma'am. The real world is going to have all sorts of outside interference. Just gotta get used to it. A commendable attitude. Japan needs more young ladies with a sense of duty such as yours. As for you, young gentlemen without the proper papers, get your act together. The instructor strides towards the next student with long, imperious steps, leaving the words to stew. A moment passes before I inhale deeply and dare to look the girl in the eye. Grown-ups are just the worst, aren't they? She wasn't wrong. I probably messed something up along the way. I'm sorry. Oh, shut the hell up! I promptly do as the pink-haired girl commands. She produces 2 plastic containers from a drawer, placing 5 of the cupcakes inside of it and sealing it with a lid. She inserts the filled container in her paper bag, taking care not to jostle it so as not to smoosh the frosting smush. And that signals the end of class. Home economics proved to be just as fun as I thought. For the most part, anyway. I see my backpack over my shoulder and turn to silently leave the classroom, only to be YO! This time, her bus was audible to the entire class, shuffling out the door. Some turn to look, but most continue on. You just gonna leave your half of the cupcakes? My face reddens, and I scramble to say something half-coherent. No, I couldn't possibly Didn't I just tell you to shut the hell up? With a look of frustration and disappointment on her face, she aggressively throws down the remaining 4 cupcakes into the second container before sealing it up. She thrusts the container into my face. For some reason, neither of us can look the other in the eye as I hesitantly accept it and stuff it into my backpack. The pink-haired girl and I are the last ones out the door behind the surging tide of estrogen. The ride of estrogen. As we exit the home ec classroom, another group of students with a much more even gender split passes through. Some of them are looking at me. Scattered, quiet laughter breaks out among the group. They can't be laughing at me. A heavy atmosphere of disquiet follows me as I make my way to the mathematics classroom. But, as it turns out, that's not the only thing that's following presumptuous much. I'm not following you, dummy. I'm heading to mathematics next, which happens to be this way. I'm also we're heading to mathematics. Oh, for fuck's! Don't tell me we shared this class too. Calculus? Jesus Christ, you fucking nerd. Name's Natsuki. I'm Max. I know. See you around, princess. What a strange girl. Can't tell if she likes me or hates me. Which is bothersome because I'm usually good at picking up on these things. It's difficult with tsunderes. Honestly, some of her behavior appears to be related potentially to the tsundere trope. It did say in the description of the like mod that he's like one of his main traits, not traits, but like something that was good for him, I think it was that he is beautiful. So there is maybe the fact that she does maybe really does think, wow, he's a pretty boy. Still, she cusses too much. Because original Natsuki, unless you consider things like dummy and pissy or something like that, and piss or something like that, as a something that's cussing, she never cusses in Act 1. People need to learn that. I could get it like in memes or like little skits that intend to be funny, but to make it part of her actual character, it's just, that's not the case unless she's more aggressive overall, which she is here, but like, why? We're not in Act 2. She has no reason, really. Think it's safer to her on the side if she hates me. I'll just keep doing what she said and stay the fuck out of her way. I have my backpack and feel the weight of the cupcakes inside of it. Still, maybe she is nice after all. As I ponder this, I come face to face with the door of the calculus classroom. As I enter the classroom, I can't help but notice all the different kids sitting here. They're only 2 or 3 years older than me, but they look so tall and self-assured. Just as she said, Kazori is here as well. She notices me as I close the classroom door behind me. She smiles sweetly and waves at me. My cheeks flush a little as I wave back. Oh, fuck! In the back, that's the girl from the library. So I'm assuming we're all, like, first years this time around, huh? Just as she was then, she's totally engrossed in what she's reading. Thank goodness. I check the seating chart and find that I actually have a window seat in this class. Yes! Too bad this is a class I actually need to pay attention in. A skinny old man in a plate blazer comes hobbling to the front of the classroom. He places a textbook down on the podium ever so gently, before stopping in place and taking a deep breath. Is this old man okay? Is he about to pass out? Wow, difference in math! I hated math! I hated math! For reason, the veracity, they are also used to find it involved in fraction. This goes on for the next 2 hours, with the instructor speaking with the speed and vigor of a man one-fourth of his age. I struggled to keep up the whole time. Math. Cries. Okay. Sorry about that. I don't know if it was noticeable, but I made a cut because I needed to put my budgies to rest. Oh no. I'll see how I do it other times. The problem is, usually when there is like no music here in this mod, there appears to be like the sound of rain, and I feel like sometimes you can still tell that there's a cut by that. We'll see. Wait a second. I need to also take care of that real quick. But that shouldn't take too long. I can do that at the same time as I read. When the school bell finally sounds, it feels like I can actually breathe again. The fish of the fish I fished the homework I completed yesterday out of my bag and placed it in the pile of the instructor's desk. On the instructor's desk. He offers a friendly, though weak nod. Seems this class is just as exhausting for him as it is for me, which is actually quite impressive on his part, given his age. As I gather all my things and zip up my backpack, I'm left to wonder, how should I spend my lunch break? I don't even want to know, but like, this is an impressive mod. Because I feel like every choice you can, like, I feel like even here you'll have a whole, thing about something else with Natsuki. Like, there needed to be a lot of different, how do you put it? A lot of different events that you have to program, and some of them also affect future events. So I think that's very impressive. I want to spend time with Kazori, but like Kose will be fine on his own. But I also kind of want to go back to the library and check if we maybe can have more time with Yuri. I mean, I plan on replaying it, like looking at a few options later on anyway. I do want to upload a few videos where I also just check out other options, even if not all of them, because even if it isn't that, I mean, there are a lot of options, and they're just a lot of options in total, it seems. And I forgot what I wanted to say. Yes. I probably won't do all of it on video. I might do it then later on again. When I have like a bit of spare time, I can always like do a few little things, and maybe I can do that sometimes. But I won't do everything on video. So, but yeah. People can play themselves anyway. Because I kind of want to do like both things. That's like my problem right now. I think I'll go to the library for now. And another time I'll try the option with Kazori at the library for now. Because I want to see if we can have a few more things with Yuri, especially after you left behind the book yesterday on the table still. Finally, I am returned to the sanctuary of fiction. The indoor heating and smell of pages and ink greet me with a warm hug. The only thing that makes this better is some tea, or maybe hot chocolate. But I mustn't get greedy. Yuri would love to drink some tea with you. I head over to the fiction section of the library, stand on my tiptoes. I check and double check to make sure I got the numbering right. And sure enough, beneath a crimson moon has been returned to its original place on the shelves. I reach up and retrieve it from its lofty seat amidst its fellows in fiction. Let's see, what happened when last we left off? Ah, yes. We started on a lecture about the nature of reality as explained by quantum theory, along with its two different implications, quantum superposition and the many worlds theory. The setting is Toronto University in Canada, where the lecture is taking place, and also where we find our protagonist in the midst of it. Enter Hana Misaki, a Japanese PhD student whose parents are totally loaded. She's got loads of baggage related to her own autonomy and capabilities, as one expects from this archetype. She appears thoroughly disillusioned with Canadian society, remarking on the strange prevalence of PA systems throughout the campus. Is that actually a thing in Canada? Or is this some kind of dystopian alternate reality world building? Apparently, she has a roommate named Lillian who, for a reason, she seems very reluctant to return to. She smells iron and dread in the air. And that cliffhanger I return. I wonder if, like, Lillian died, because iron, yeah, is in your blood and all that. Ah, The purple girl is back. The purple girl is back again. Like before, she's completely oblivious to my presence, lost as she is between the pages. I suppose I ought to regard her as one of the furniture from now on. I drag a chair from underneath the table as quietly as possible, so as not to break her spell. I open beneath the crimson moon and continue onward from where I last left off. "Lillian!" I called out as I stepped gingerly inside. The lights were off. I repeated, "Lillian!" There was Lillian, still sitting at her desk upon her office chair seat, just as I had left her. There was Lillian, finally asleep after probably yet another all-nighter, her computer monitor the only source of light on her pallid face. There was Lillian, with the room light switched on, mouth agape in her slumber, still clothed in that black hoodie she hadn't changed out in probably 2 days at least. There was Lillian, with her sleeves rolled up, weeping streaks of open red across the length of her wrists. There was Lillian, whose chair sat upon a carpet saturated in crimson life. There was a stack of meat and bone just where I had left her. With a trembling hand, I retrieved my phone from my pocket, dialed 911, told the operator the address, room number, situation, vomited on the carpet, coughed and retched, cried, ignored the operator's instructions to stay calm, hung up, vomited again. At least this time it was in the toilet. I went in the bathroom, not wanting to be in the same room as my roommate's corpse. I left the door unlocked, and by the time the paramedics arrived, I'd bet I didn't look much better than Lillian. The third time I retched, all that came up were gastric juices. Did Lillian Blanche have a history of drug use? No, I answered truthfully, the policewoman. Seated on the stairs alongside her before the entrance of Gravelly Hall. Did Lillian suffer from suicidal thoughts or actions, or engage in self-harming behaviors? Yes, she did. I answered again truthfully. But that's exactly why we didn't keep any sharp objects anywhere in the dorm. No pocket knives, no razors, nothing. The policewoman smiled and nodded understandingly. But is it possible that she managed to hide something like that on her person? Something she could have used to harm herself? I don't know, stuttered, my voice shaking. Maybe? My red and puffy eyes were glued to the pavement at the bottom of the stairs. Why are you asking me this? I questioned, voice cracking. Aren't you police investigating the scene? Shouldn't you know if she managed to hide something on her? The officer shifted uncomfortably in her seat before answering. Details of the investigation will not be disclosed at this time in the interest of preserving the victim's privacy. The victim? I suddenly exclaimed. Are you saying she was... It's a generic term, the officer quickly clarified. She then sat up straight and spoke onward. I'm sorry to pull this card on you at a time like this, miss, but I am the one asking the questions. I looked back down, hugging my knees close to my chest. In all honesty, this is the first time I've ever been questioned by the police, so I don't actually know what the proper procedure is. But it was incredibly off-putting, is the only way I could describe it. Being kept in the dark as to the details on my roommate's death, my own friend, whom I cared about and didn't even know how much I cared about her until now. I was always such a bitch to her. Finally, the tears began to roll down my face as the policewoman continued questioning me, her voice fading to the blur of uniformed bodies and flashing lights as my own voice operated on autopilot. What if I just been nicer to her? Stop prodding her about her future, getting on her case about staying up till late, bitching at her about her student loans, faulting her for never being up on her top of her coursework in a timely manner. Just something could have been different. Could something have been different? If I just listened to her, if I just tried to understand. I never once gave an ounce of thought to her bizarre conspiracy theories and stories about stalkers and cryptids in the night. What if she just wanted to be heard? I felt sick to my stomach as the policewoman rose from her seat and left me alone on the stairs. Music entertainment, PhDs, multinational business deals, fucking arcades and casinos. What the fuck does any of that even matter? Lillian is dead and it's my fault. And I'll never be able to make it right. Never. 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 My god. What a fucking twist. But also, fuck you, Blake. Lillian didn't deserve that. So, Lillian was always kind of a strange character. We all never really saw one interaction between her and Hannah prior to Hannah's visit to the neighboring town. Hannah spoke to Lillian about it. Lillian was the one who was one of those wacko conspiracy theory nerds, while her offensive sense of fashion, classes and all. Going on and about corporate agents with mind control devices, hideous monsters created in underground labs, human experiment camps running all sorts of demented tests on their victims. She was definitely lined up to be our wacky comic relief character, injecting a bit of self-aware meta-humor into our dark and twisted cosmic horror story. But then, to kill off in such a messy and traumatizing fashion. What a statement to make, Mr. Valentine! I see you're not fucking around with this one. Oh, that was hardly as traumatizing as it could have been written. What if I was someone less fortunate? This question ran through my mind as I hid the shakiness of my voice, relaying my personal details to the receptionist at the Swan. A bougie local hotel within walking distance of the Toronto University campus. I handed my debit card over the counter, and the receptionist wiped it and waited for the chime of approval. What if I were someone who just couldn't afford to stay in a hotel room for the next few days, possibly weeks? What then? Are there any kind of public services for that or something? The receptionist smiled and nodded as she handed back 2 cards, 1 debit and 1 room key. Or would I be out in the snow right now, if not for my father's fortune, after having lost one of my only real friends? That'd be insane. So it's not true, right? I'd be given somewhere to stay while the investigation's ongoing, right? Listlessly, I walked down the hall to the elevators, the dark, moody lighting not helping matters in my head. But as I watched the elevator doors yawn open before me, that sense of dread again gripped my chest tightly, and again I smelled iron in the air. I covered my mouth, not wanting to hurl in the hotel lobby, and instead opted to take the stairs. The hotel room was an exercise in excess, to say the least. I hardly even paid attention to the details as I booked the room, but I saw now the colossal bed dominating the room's center, an entire wall that was just one huge window overlooking the Toronto skyline, the city lights glittering in the dark like that stars they hid. Drifting flakes of snow stuck to the windows, melted, and were replaced just as easily. Next to the bed was a bucket of ice and a bottle of champagne, ensconced inside of it. And at the sight of this, I laughed. The walls were thick, my privacy assured, so I laughed louder and louder, laughed until my voice grew hoarse and the tears were again falling. Through my blurred, tear-soaked vision, I looked at the champagne bottle, its pretentious French-Canadian vintage reading like a mocking eulogy. I twisted the cork off and downed a mouthful of it. And it tasted really good, so wonderfully sweet and gentle on the throat, the fizz offering a delightful texture that complicated its aromatic flavors. I laughed again as I took another swig, staring at a painting of an idyllic countryside cottage underneath a perfect blue sky. I laughed again as I took another swig. I laughed until my throat burned, both from the champagne and from the hoarseness. Laughed, drank, laughed some more, drank, until my laughs turned to spluttering, choking sobs. She was the only one who would ever listen to me complaining. God, and how stupid my complaints were, bitching about being the heiress to a huge, successful Japanese gambling conglomerate. And she would just listen, nod, pretend to understand, and then launch into some absurd rant about how corpos are destroying the world and that I need to break the cycle. As if I could make everything right again, all on my own. She really believed that, didn't she? The champagne bottle emptied. I loosened my grasp lazily and watched it roll across the floor, stopping with a quiet clink against the window wall. In those snowflakes is a world where Lillian yet lives, and it melts against the glass as so many others. Wait, god damn it! Where the hell did the time go? And after I said I needed to head out earlier too. Just as before, that girl's long gone by the time I snap back into reality. Is she real or a phantom? She's probably disappointingly real. I think for the first time, I'm mostly going to be going to the library in hopes that maybe something will change and maybe we will be able to spend some time with Yuri at some point when she realizes what we're reading. Knowing I have little time to waste, I leave beneath a crimson moon on the table, heft my backpack over my shoulder, and make a mad dash towards the first of my evening classes. Yeah, he leaves it on the table, and I just wonder if Yuri is the one who returned it after she returned maybe after classes.